There's only so much a heart heavy with hurt can harbor. The slave ship has sailed, yet our oppression is too ocean deep to see. History repeats itself if you're senseless to the message and neglect the lessons embedded between the lines. It seems I find we cease to find the reason to believe what lies beneath the grease and slime. We feed the lies with greed. At decent times we reach our highs when we see the light. You free your mind when you release. Seek and see through the deceit. Seek freedom, achieve peace as you release the ties to that which seals your eyes. We try Sierra the future but can't get the mask off the past. 1, 2 step forward and 3 steps back into the dark ages. What a time to be alive. We're not cowardice. We're just so divided we're powerless. And just tired of being tied to this. The trident our confidence, and that's because power and control is homogeneous. Our life's been battlefield. War is only inevitable. Sometimes you ignore your call of duty in this modern warfare. On this battlefield, it's not all fair. It's like bringing a knife to a sword fight. Trigger happy, shooting blanks, shows we're too weak like a fortnight. They raise arms and shoot, we raise arms and loot, proof that our versions of truce aren't synonymous. Truth is, there's poison in the water they offer us. You'd go from I deserve it all to strike you're out when life throws you a curveball. Life can just turn in an instant, which is why I had to learn to give thanks every time I open my eyes in the morning. Too many mothers mourning because their son didn't rise in the morning. And their days are bleak and dark, waiting for that spark of energy to start their life again. We fear death but don't embrace life, like the difference between living and surviving is so hard to comprehend. Like the lion whose pride is on his mind to defend, life is more than just a means to an end, as we only die once and live out every day till the end.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. Because the critical thing we must do to stop the disease spreading between households. That is why people will only be allowed to leave their home for the following very limited purposes. Shopping for basic necessities as infrequently as possible. One form of exercise a day, for example, a run.
I think being human means living a life and then all of the things that are encompassed in that. Seeing the people who shape us, seeing family, going out with your friends, going to work, and also seeing a range of emotions, whether it's be anger, happiness, stress, all of the emotions. I think one of the hardest parts of living through this pandemic has definitely been not seeing my family. Having them live in a different country while I'm here in the UK has definitely been very hard. The other difficult part of living through a pandemic was definitely being redeployed to the ICU unit, looking after COVID patients. Seeing all the deaths, seeing the relatives come in, mourning over their loved ones. There's definitely been sort of two groups of people. There's those people who band together and, want to help and want to do anything that they possibly can. And then you get another group of people that are just afraid. They are afraid on what's going on. They don't know what to do. They're not even sure if they can do anything. I think people's attitudes towards the NHS workers during this pandemic has been a realization that NHS workers really do a tough job. I think the government attempts to to show that they support us. I know there were various things going on, to help the NHS during the pandemic. Let's give us a clap once a week. But I think what will really show how they feel about us and the work that we do and how important our jobs are is if we can get better conditions and better pay for the NHS. In our normal day-to-day lives where we're super busy, running around, doing many things, but during the pandemic, we all had to just suddenly slow down and come to a stop. And I think people really started to look out for each other. People were offering support, going to their neighbors. Let me buy you some groceries. I think people really banded together during this time. And we really got to just stop and think clearly about what's really important to us and what's important to our lives. What was the most important thing for you?
Two patients from the same family in England have tested positive for coronavirus. The first cases to be recorded in Britain. The number of worldwide cases of this new virus has now surpassed the numbers in the 2003 SARS epidemic. Chinese officials say more than 200 people have now died, mostly in Hubei province where the virus emerged, with almost 10,000 cases now reported nationally. Earlier, I spoke to
I think being human during COVID is all about being responsible, to be honest. Looking out for each other just more than what we're used to. In terms of like germs and that as well, we spread it quite easily. Like coughing, sneezing, talking. So I think we have to be more wary when we're doing these things. My thoughts on the pandemic, really and truly, it's like what we've missed out on. Hanging out with our other members of family, especially maybe like our nans and grandparents, just being with friends, just hanging out in a park or just in a square chilling and talking about whatever. But what I've noticed about myself definitely is like I need to stay active. Otherwise, like being alone with my thoughts sometimes it's just overwhelming. It's a lot harder to stay positive and keep active. Like people might like their family being indoors, but no one likes being stuck indoors. And it's like people are feeling the urge to go outside and just live free willingly. In saying that, I wouldn't say I struggle as much as other people, especially with other young people we work with. Like being a youth worker, we see young people who might be suffering from forms of mental health, such as stress, depression, anxiety, etc. So sometimes I just think about them and how they feel and how hard it will be for them. And it's quite upsetting, to be honest, because it can be overwhelming for them. And usually our space and us as workers allowed to release some of the stress and whatever it may be. And now we're offering it again to them, which is great, I think. I think the government tried to be helpful. I wouldn't say they've been helpful 100%, but I think they've come up with a good scheme, like the Eat Out scheme, for example. But what I feel is that kind of backfired. And now young people, especially who like being held responsible, as young people, some of us don't earn as much money as maybe the next person. So when we see good food for half price, of course we're going to take it. So I think now we've been looking out for each other. Being human during a pandemic, it's been hard. But I think we've tried our best, which is all we can probably do. I think we're more aware. I think we're more conscious as well of our surroundings and who we're surrounded by. And just making sure we look after each other and doing our best to prevent the person to our left or right becoming ill. But I feel like next year, 2021, will be an interesting year because I feel like this one is going to be carrying on in some vein. How do you feel about the pandemic?
Some scientists are strongly opposed to suspending lockdown rules at Christmas.
The idea that we will have Christmas and then lockdown in January, to me, makes absolutely no sense. I think we should focus on individually tailored plans for people to have Christmas and ensuring the maximum amount of protection to those who are vulnerable.
Rebel Tory MPs
Before lockdown, we had freedom. We could meet up with people, we could have friends, we could literally live a life. And to be honest as well, when we was living that life before COVID, we didn't actually appreciate it because we was rushing, too busy going to work, rushing to do everything we need to do. We didn't have time to take and sit down and actually appreciate the life we have. Because I've got asthma and lupus. They're saying that I'm vulnerable, that I should really be sheltering myself because I might, catch the COVID. But no, I feel like I'm strong enough to be out there. I like people. So therefore, I would always be laughing and joking with somebody just as everybody else. If myself personally feel like that I'm not well, then I will stay at home. I will definitely stay at home. But right now, I feel like I'm okay. I'm as healthy as I can be. My asthma is not playing up, so I feel like I can just, be out there. As I said before, I volunteer at a food bank. As long as I'm able to help and my body is allowing me to help, I'm going to help. I'm going to be there in that food bank right there in the front line helping people. I dread to think how it's going to be in the future. Everyone's separated. Everyone's just, I don't even know if anyone talks to each other anyway. I dread to think how it's going to be in the future. I don't even want to look at the future, to be honest. As everyone keeps telling me, it's the new normal. This is the new world now. Therefore, I am gonna have to accept the change, even though I don't want to. You have to toe the rope, I suppose. They're telling you how to behave, how you got to act, and I think that's what they want. That's not what I want. But it looks like that's what they want. What does it mean to you to be human?
New analysis has confirmed that the new variant of coronavirus has a much quicker transmission rate than the original strain. Researchers at Imperial College London say that even with a lockdown similar to that in England in November, the number of cases would still triple, and that this was the most serious change in the virus that we've seen. It comes as the government reported another 53,285 new infections. The surge in cases, particularly in London and the South East, has left NHS...
I think being a human is all about empathy and understanding. Obviously, there's a pandemic on, so people really just want to be doing their own thing. But when there's elderly people and the vulnerable people, it's hard to be selfish. So it forces you think about other people. Obviously, I'm young, so I don't really have to think about things like paying rent and stuff like that. So not having a job is so chill for me. But if you think about those who have to, imagine the stress. Because at one point, they were proper working and doing things needing to survive. But then this whole thing happened. And now they're just how am I supposed to pay for my rent, food, and stuff like that? But saying that, I do think COVID has helped people really think about themselves as well. But in a good way, obviously. We all now have all this free time to sit and see where we're a good person or not, or just for others, but to ourselves. I mean, I'm really grateful for free time, shall I say. I didn't realize how busy I actually was, and I think that adults, just because we're young, we just do nothing all day, but we're actually busy. Before COVID, our 9 to 5 was college, and there's always pressure to know how you are, I guess, and where you want to be. We're just kids. Sometimes it's just a bit too much, and when we have fun, the media always want to label us some type of way. Can we just not enjoy being young? It's not that deep. I had no clue. I took the time to look after myself, to see the good and the bad qualities I had, then learn from that. I got into routine that wasn't as systematic as school is. So I had the time and energy just to work on myself. So I think with COVID, people are learning more about themselves and seeing how they can be better to themselves and others. Hopefully everyone comes out of this knowing how to balance both work and life, not just social media. But I think that will all stop once everything gets back to normal. But it was good while it lasted. How did you get through the pandemic anyway?